All right. Once we've got those things in place, this was honestly, and consultants can still have these aha moments. This was an aha moment for me in the last few years. And I think it's a missing link today, and it's a biggie. So I'm going to spend a few minutes on this and just kind of talk through what this is. You know, I like to think of SharePoint, and especially if you're using SharePoint as an intranet or those kind of tools, it's a bridge, right? It's a bridge between the organization and its people, right? Connecting people to each other, connecting people to things within the organization. And so there's a lot of ways that we can think of SharePoint as this nice bridge inside of the organization. And the more bridges you can build inside your organization, the more engagement and adoption that you'll have. But bridges can often be scary, right? They can be scary to cross sometimes. Sometimes they're not built very well. And so I want to talk for just a minute about the wrong way, and how not to approach SharePoint and kind of building this bridge. So I'm going to bring up on the screen, you'll see a kind of a chart coming up here that talks about really what we're trying to accomplish, right? So in general, on the left side there, you've got productivity, and you could put anything you want here. You could put, we want greater innovation, productivity, efficiency, whatever it is. And most of our organizations are doing okay, right? We're not at the very bottom. Some of these things we're doing better than others. But if we use productivity, we're not bad. We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for a long time, and we're pretty good at it. But we want to be better. That's why we're doing something. We want to be better. We're just not doing it as effectively as we think we can. So most people think that going from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow is kind of this straight line, right? And over time, that's how we get there. We just put some things in place and then we get there. Now, if you're really, more realistic about it, and you say, no, no, that's not really how it works. Maybe it works something more like this. And we know there's some ups and downs, and there's going to be some struggles, and then there's going to be some high, points. This is really what it looks like. But what I want to tell you is that both of these are wrong. And this is kind of the aha moment of how does this curve really look? How does this actually work when we roll out new things like SharePoint? When we roll out a new tool or deploy new functionality in SharePoint, what does this curve actually look like over time in our productivity? And what we found is that this is actually what it looks like. The curve looks something more like this. And so let me explain this. So how many of you like to do things, slower, make mistakes, be unproductive for a while, right? Nobody likes to do that. But what we found is that between where you are today and where you are tomorrow and where you want to be, what is between here and there, right? There's this big valley, there's this dip that we all have to go through. And in that are all kinds of things like slowing down, doing things a different way, making some mistakes because, oops, I pushed the wrong button and that didn't work right, or that workflow didn't do the way I wanted it to. There's all kinds of things in there. And a lot of people don't think about this. And we honestly didn't think this way. But after seeing it for so many years, this is really what happens to your users and their productivity and everything over time before they get to where you want them to go. It's never a straight line. It's not even a curvy line. It's going to go through this big dip. And so what happens to users is they know this, right? And they're smart and they know that, hey, I'm doing it this way and you're telling me to do it that way. That seems like a lot more work. Or I've got to upload this now through this interface and do these things. I'm just going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it. And so they put on the brakes and they say, whoa, I'm not going to do that. And so they don't go down this hill because they know that's what's coming. Because in the end, all of us at our jobs are measured and rated, if you will, on our performance, right? On being more productive, on not slowing down. We've all got our day jobs, right? We've all got so many things going on. Last thing we want is to slow down. And so the last thing they want to do is go through this slowdown period. So you know what? I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm not going to adopt it. I'm going to keep doing it the way I did it. Or I'm just going to go over here and go around your system and maybe do Dropbox. That's so much easier than what you've got here with this OneDrive thing. I'm going to do it the other way. And so we've got to help manage expectations. And really what we've actually found is that it goes beyond the users. It's actually at the manager level a lot of times, because helping managers and helping leadership understand that, hey, your users are going to slow down before they speed up. We need to give them permission, if you will, to make some mistakes. And so some of the things, just a really quick idea, and we've got tons of these, that we did was a lot of organizations, let's say we're doing an intranet on SharePoint, we have an intranet play day, if you will, where all it is, no meetings, it's Friday, maybe it's just a half a day. We rolled this out, or maybe it's in a pilot. Today, all you have to do, and you can just play on the internet all day long, make mistakes, try some new workflows, figure out what you're doing, and you'd be amazed at what it does to help people's confidence and to help people figure out, oh, okay, yeah, it is a little bit more cumbersome to do it that way, but look what I get. Man, I can get all this reporting. And so connecting those dots and giving people permission to slow down before they speed up. It's pretty amazing. So what you guys have to do is you have to focus on building this bridge. And there's a lot of different things that go into building this bridge. There's a lot of things right here where you need to focus. And that could be, like I said, anything from giving them permissions or giving them permission to play on the internet, making sure that their managers know. But even beyond building the bridge to make it easy to get from point A to point B, you've got to help them cross that bridge. You've got to, again, tell them why. Why do we want to change? Why are we changing? And help them cross that bridge from one side to the other. So there's a big dip. Everybody knows we've got to go through it. How do we make sure that we don't go through that? And so let me give you guys a couple more practical tips. And I love this quote. And again, adoption and SharePoint, this is really what's at the core of it. It's really at its core about change. And I know, this is a little bit fluffy and higher level, but really the people that are initiating the change, and those of you on this that are in charge of leading the effort for SharePoint, change is happening, whether you want it to or not. And so if you're doing something new, it's going to have change and it's going to have an impact. So are you going to kind of be the ones that initiate and have your hands on the reins of that change, or are you just going to let it kind of happen? And the other thing I would say is that keep in mind, all of us think that all of us are going to change, and all these organizations, we want this great change and we want to be more productive. Organizations don't change. They never do. Change always starts at the individual level. And this was another kind of one of those ahas, that we all want change. We want to do more productive across our department. It starts with the single individual. It starts with Mary and Bob and all the individuals that are using this tool, getting them to change and adopt and understand that, wow, this is really great. And then they tell other people and building these champions. So organizations never change on their own. It starts at the individual level. So you've really got to put that personal touch and making sure through communication plans, through all kinds of things, that you've communicated why we're doing this and that you've really helped people cross that bridge. Like I said, we've got a ton of these ideas on how do we actually do that through communication plans and training plans and lunch and learns and webinars and all kinds of things within the organization. So be the one that embraces the change, and again, focus on that individual personalization. Another way that we can help build these bridges is really, with integration. I don't know about you, but I don't just work with one application per day or per week. I mean, we all work with so many applications. In fact, ZDNet said that the average employee works with about 25 different applications per week. And so the last thing you want is for SharePoint to be just another application, another silo of information that I've got to go to, and now I've got to go over to my CRM, and now I've got to go over here to my ERP and all those kind of things, right? How do we think about SharePoint as a hub, and how do we bring information into it, maybe push information out that helps people do their jobs? Again, that's where sitting with them and really knowing them really helps to help understand, how does information flow in and out of these organizations and these departments and this user? How do they use information? What are some key areas, maybe the top 3 integration points that we could implement in phase 1 that would give someone a lot of bang for their buck and help them add a lot of value and build a bridge between different things that they have to do and not make it so hard on them? And then the last thing is, making sure that when you're working on SharePoint and you get the team together, at the end of the day, you don't have to build this yourself, and you really shouldn't build it yourself. It doesn't mean if you've got 200 people in your organization that you have a 200-person project team. But what it does mean is through the feedback, through surveys, through reaching out and communication, get people involved, because without a doubt, people will always support and jump on the bandwagon of things that they've helped create. And it's amazing what this has done for adoption. If IT or whatever group goes off in a silo, tries to gather some requirements, then comes back and rolls this thing out, and people don't adopt it, and they wonder why, maybe it doesn't fit, but there's no vested interest. If you can really truly get people involved so that they've had input in this, maybe it's through a survey, like I said, or something else, psychologically, people have a vested interest in your SharePoint succeeding. They want it to succeed because they've actually helped build it in some small way. So make sure you get people involved. People are always going to support what they help create. Get them involved early on.